Hey everybody, I get to spend a little bit of time with Amanda Kanukin. She is our office manager here and she's also the bookkeeper. She works with Choice Schools kind of hand in hand to make sure that we've got everything happening that we're supposed to. So thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit. Just to start off, can you just tell them a little bit what your role here is?
Sure. I just kind of oversee all of the office duties here, help filling in sub-positions, and when the front office gets busy, I help out there. But then I also do a lot with the bookkeeping side of things, keeping track of classroom budgets, any orders that need to be made for the school, all the invoices that come in, checks that need to be put through, all that goes through me. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that's a lot. So
it sounds like a lot when you say it.
It is a lot. So thanks for doing all that stuff. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about budgeting, and then a little bit about fundraising, and then some regulations. So can you tell us a little bit from your perspective, kind of what the budgeting process is, not just for classrooms, but kind of our whole school?
Yeah. Well, we plan it out ahead of time. We kind of look ahead. Especially when it gets closer to when the new budget's going to be rolling over, which is in July. The principals go through a lot of meetings with our finance department and our management company. They put together what they think we're going to need for the year, and then they go to our board, and then the board looks it over, and it goes to them for their approval. Throughout the year, different things do come up. Things, something might break in the building that we didn't know that was going to happen, or maybe there's some new curriculum that we need to purchase. So then we let finance know, and then they readdress and put together a revised budget for the year, and then it gets approved again.
So when those big things come up, is the budget looked at monthly or kind of on an as-need basis?
Kind of like an as-need basis. I believe there are 2 times throughout the year where it's a planned meeting where the principals go over to Choice Schools and they meet with our board liaison and the finance director, and they all sit down and look things over. But we can call them at any time if there's something that we feel we're going to need to move money around, or we're running short, or if we see it, that we have a lot left and we're trying to figure out what to use that money for, then we can call on them.
Nice. Is there a way that you are watching the budget in real time to kind of see where things are at outside of those 2-3 times a year?
Yeah, we have a system, SDS, that we use, that I use it every day. We log in there, and you can pull up any account that we have for the school, and it will show every purchase that we've made, every check that's come out of that budget, how much is left, what we started out with. So it's really an amazing system. It's where we enter all of our orders and checks and everything in there throughout the year for approvals too. That's how our approvals go through Stan, the board liaison.
Okay.
He gets emails and checks off the approvals in there, and then the board signs off on the checks in SDS. So it's an amazing system.
That's really crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome that we can use that.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of fundraising at our school. We do everything from an auction that we do, a big auction that goes towards different areas, but we also do what we call Dollar Days, which is I think a couple Fridays, a lot of Fridays every year, that students can pay $1 to be able to not wear their uniform, and that goes to different causes. So I know fundraising plays a huge part in our school. How do you see fundraising working, and how is the money delegated that is fundraised?
We try to track that very carefully and make sure that whatever the fundraising was done for, that's what it gets spent on. So say there's a $1 day maybe for the athletic department. Well, we keep track of that when we make the deposit. We make a note that that's athletic funds, and then when it's time to purchase uniforms, we use it from that budget. So, yeah, again, it's a lot of tracking. That SDS system has all those deposits in there as well, so I can always look and see exactly what that $1 day money was supposed to be for. So.
Awesome. So with all that money coming in and out, what are some of the safeguards that you've set up to make sure like teachers aren't getting in trouble for handling money, that we know where everything's moving and nobody has to suffer any consequences?
Don't worry about that, yeah. We really like teachers to turn the money in the day that they receive it, just because, you know, even having it sitting around in a classroom overnight, it's just putting them at risk. So we have a safe that we can lock everything up in. We have deposit slips that they fill out, that they mark exactly what they've turned it on, they sign off on it, I sign off on it. And then after I deposit it, the principal signs off on it again. So there's just, again, lots of checks and balances. Some of the funds that do a lot of fundraising, we actually ask them to set up a spreadsheet where they document how much money they're turning in and what purchases they're making, and then the principals and I have access to that, so we can go in and make sure that everything that we have matches up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about in like the daily and yearly stuff outside of fundraising, whether it's you know, grant money coming in and making sure the grant money's going to the right places? What are some safeguards that like you and our principal and vice principal have set up to make sure that everything's above board?
The right thing. That SDS system really is
Okay.
where we do all of that, because there's line items that show where that money is deposited, and then there's line items that show, you know, where the money's being spent, and they all need to match up. So, and the board use that at the meetings as well. They see all the checks that we're writing out, and they can see exactly what fund it's coming from, and so there's a lot of approvals that happen.
Okay, that's really good. Do you guys have certain like checkpoints that you're supposed to go through for each one, or is it just kind of this got placed in this one and you just kind of gotta write that off in the SDS?
Yeah, it's done more like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so our class is all hopeful new administrators, whether it's principal, vice principal, dean of students, or even like athletic directors.
Mhm.
What we're going to need to work with somebody in your position, no matter where we're at. What is the best way that we can help you out to make sure that we're making sure everything's
Sure.
above board, but we're also not making things harder than it needs to be?
Communication is huge.
Okay.
Just, you know, a lot of times the teachers will go to the principals or the athletic directors, you know, to talk about the purchases, and it's really good that the administrators, they check with me to make sure that they know exactly how much is in those budgets before they approve things. Or a lot of times they'll just refer them, you know, right to me first and say, fill out a purchase order so Amanda can let us know exactly how much is in the budget. So just making sure that they keep me in the loop with all those purchases is super helpful. And just being as organized as they can. If people have the opportunity to use a system like what we have with SDS, it's makes the communicating part so much easier. So
Yeah, that's got to be huge.
yeah.
Cool. So being a new administrator coming in, what would like 2 pieces of advice be to a new administrator?
Boy. The planning ahead, I think that would be a huge thing. I see our principals do that. It helps out that they get together and they try to look ahead to what future purchases are going to be. And then just being cautious with the purchases too. I think you can see at the beginning of the year you have all this money, but it gets used up quickly, and you do have those things that come up that are unexpected too, so it's nice to leave a cushion there so you don't run out by the end of the year. So being cautious is very important.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for taking some time.
Welcome.
Really appreciate it.
No problem. Good to talk to you.
Yeah.